These are operations of functions word problems. Remember, you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide functions together. And now we're going to be doing all that in word problem format. Example 1. A car rental company's standard charge includes an initial fee plus an additional fee for each mile driven. The standard charge, S, in dollars, is given by the function S equals 18.95 plus 0.50 m, where m is the number of miles driven. The company also offers an option to insure the car against damage. The insurance I, in dollars, is given by the function I equals 3.90 plus 0.25 m. Let C be the total charge in dollars for a rental that includes insurance. Write an equation relating C to M. There is a lot given in this word problem. There's a lot of extra information given that we don't really need to know. So let's just cut to the chase and figure out, what are they asking? What does the question, the final sentence, say? We're trying to write an equation relating C to M. So in this word problem, I see M in two different equations, in the S equation and in the I equation. So that's a hint. We're going to have to combine these two S and I equations to come up with our C one. But how are we going to combine them? Do we add, subtract, multiply, divide? All right, well, let's just think through what it's asking. C is the total charge for a rental that includes insurance. So if I'm going to go rent a car and I'm wanting to include insurance, my charge is going to be for how much I pay to rent the car, plus I'm going to have to add insurance along with it. So it's your base rental charge, and if I add insurance onto it, I need to add them together. So there's a lot of extra words in here that give you a lot of information. You need to pick out that this is S just tells you how much it costs to rent a car. And I just tells you how much it costs to get the insurance for your rental. All that extra information up there in those first few sentences just explains where those equations come from, but that doesn't do anything to help us come up with our final answer. So read your first two sentences, but just pick them out to figure out what the equations are. So S is telling me that's how much it costs to rent. I tells me insurance. I don't even care what M stands for in this point. I just care what these two equations are. And then read your final two sentences. C is the total charge. We need to relate C to M. So ignore all that other junk information to throw you off. All right, well, let's actually fill in now. What is S? It is 18.95 plus 0.50 m. And what is I? 3.90 plus 0.25 m. You could put parentheses around here if you wanted to make it super clear what was S and what was M. But since there's a plus sign here, I'm not going to have to distribute anything, so the parentheses are meaningless right now, pointless. Or extra notation that just doesn't help us anyway. This isn't your final answer. You need to make sure you actually combine like terms. So I need to add these two numbers together to get, what do we get? I typoed whatever's in my notes here. So 18.95 plus 3.9 is 22.85. And then you probably saw I already added those two together. No, I did that in my head and got 0.75. So this is the total cost to rent a car if you want to add insurance to it. Let's do another example. It's going to be the same thing. They're going to give us a lot of extra information, but we need to cut to the chase and figure out what they're saying. So Jane and her husband are each starting a savings plan. Jane will set aside $650 and then add $145 each month to savings. A equals $650 plus $145n, where n is the number of months she has been saving. Her husband is not going to set aside an initial amount, but he will add $495 to savings each month. So B equals $495n. Let T be the total amount in dollars saved using both plans combined. Write an equation relating T to N. All right, there's a lot of junk in this word problem too. What do we need to pick out? We need to figure out that A is the equation that tells you how much Jane saves each month. B is the equation that tells you about how much her husband saves each month. And the final two questions, T is the total amount saved, and we're trying to relate T to N. Both A and B have an N in them. So we're going to find a way to combine these two equations together. All right, well, what is T? T is the total amount saved by the entire household. So if you're trying to figure out how much total you saved, don't overthink this. You need to just say, well, how much did Jane save and how much did her husband save? Let's add those two together and then we'll know how much they saved together. So don't overthink it. I know there's a lot going on in this word problem to throw you off. But for the most part, we're just going to be adding the equations together. Kind of a shortcut hint. That's mostly what's going to happen. All right, so the total cost will be how much Jane saves plus how much her husband saves. So let's actually fill in what the equations are. So this is the A equation. I can put parentheses around it if you want. And this is the B equation. Again, you can put parentheses, but since this is a plus sign, there's not anything minus sign or number in front to distribute or square. The parentheses are irrelevant. All I have to do here is combine like terms. So that is my only constant whole number, and then add these two together, which I did. I don't know if this is cut off of your screen. That's my final answer.